Dawar, and many thanks for watching us with the news. I'm Shifarao Lako. The Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister of Ethiopia, Dammeka Mekonnen, has met with EU ambassadors and representatives of European countries to discuss issues of mutual concern. On the occasion, Dammeka delivered a detailed briefing on the humanitarian assistance efforts that the government and pertinent bodies are undertaking in the state of Tigray. In this regard, he said food and non-food items, including pharmaceuticals, are being delivered to people in Tigray, identifying their needs and facilitating the delivery through the 92 distribution centers. He said the interim administration of the region is also functioning well and is undertaking its normal duties in all areas of the region with close consultation and collaboration with the federal government. The ambassadors appreciated Dammeka for addressing their concerns. The meeting ended with an agreement to closely work and continue engagement. First Lady Zinash Tayacho has laid a cornerstone for the construction of a school in Oromia State. Zinash, along with Chief Administrator of the Oromia State, Shimallis Abdisa, have convened the official event. Kasaun Chane presents the story as follows.
The second round of construction of the FR Robi High School to be built in West RC Zone in Oromia State was carried out by the First Lady, Zinash Tayacho, and Oromia Region State Chief, Shimallis Abdisa, including other senior government officials. The construction of this school, which is believed to be finalized within a total cost of 18 million baht, is expected to be completed within 7 months. During the occasion, Oromia Region State Chief Administrator has praised First Lady Zinash Tayacho for her immense contribution to the construction of schools in the region. Speaking in the event, the Chief Administrator stated that education where justice is ensured is a key instrument to develop one's own country.
For the future, to observe prosper nation, equality, justice, where brotherhood transcends, and to make Ethiopia great, it is a must to give due attention on knowledge and technology that have paramount importance. Therefore, this cornerstone laid today is expected to further ensure quality education and to build skilled manpower. Thus, I would like to urge teachers to ensure the quality of education and the students to develop knowledge, conduct various researches and studies in the school.
West RC Zone Administrator Barabuno on his part stated that the Oromia Region State has been exerting tremendous efforts by the construction of schools to further address quality education more than ever.
Develop a country and strengthen the solidarity of the nation. Education gives you a paramount space to do so. As a result, the Oromia Regional State is striving to ensure quality education with due emphasis. Accordingly, those who get better education have more opportunities in their lives and tend to be healthier, and the societies benefit as well. Lack of access to education is considered the root cause of poverty.
The residents also played the high school where cornerstone is laid by the First Lady. Does have a great role to the students who go at a very distance to learn and can also solve similar problems.
We feel very happy with the construction of the high school. First of all, we thank God and then the government, as well as the people of Ethiopia.
The First Lady's office has been inaugurating more than 20 high schools in all the regions across Ethiopia in the first round. It is to be recalled that Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has promised that the income of his book, Meddamer or Sina Giselle, was fully handed over to the office of the First Lady for the construction of schools in the areas where there are no schools.
Emergency Response Coordination Center led by Ethiopian Ministry of Peace discussed emergency humanitarian aid and restoration of destroyed infrastructure in Ethiopia's Tigray State. Tigray State Interim Administration has called upon all Ethiopians to lend a hand in rebuilding the state. Santayo Tamrat tells you more.
During the discussion, Ethiopian Ministry of Peace disclosed that Emergency Humanitarian Aid Coordination Center has shifted using Antonov aircrafts to transport humanitarian aids in some areas due to security issues. and over 130,000 government employees received salaries which they did not get during the conflict in the region. Besides, 20 hospitals were renovated and resumed service. Ethiopian Peace Minister Muferiat Kamil further mentioned that the medical supplies worth 17 million birr are being transported to the region. Tigray State Interim Government, for its part, said there are undertakings to reach emergency humanitarian aid to all areas and restore infrastructure destroyed by TPLF cliques. Whilst Addis Ababa City Administration has delivered food supplies amounting 17 million birr to those in need in the state. Receiving the aid, Tigray State Interim Government CEO Molu Nega expressed his gratitude to the city administration for its support.
Currently, the federal government is providing various supports to help our people. Before today's event, the Oromo Abagedas came here and showed their support to the Tigray people. And today, the Addis Ababa City Administration has come here to share the problems of the Tigray people and offer support. I thank you on behalf of the interim administration of the state.
CEO also called upon all Ethiopians to lend a hand in the rebuilding of the state.
Our next big task until the people of Tigray turn towards development to work on peace in the area. In this regard, there is a lot to do. It is not only humanitarian aid that's awaiting us, but rebuilding of the district infrastructure. I call upon all states and people of Ethiopia to help us in the rebuilding of the state as well as in delivering humanitarian assistance.
Over 2.5 million people in Ethiopia's Tigray region need humanitarian aid, it was disclosed.
Now, moving on. The world should not turn a blind eye to racist propagandas and xenophobic incitements. Israeli ambassador to Ethiopia Rafael Morav made the remark at the annual International Day of Commemoration at the UNECA in memory of the Holocaust. He said indifference to minority call and hatred speech might cost dearly unless rectified immediately. The report is presented as follows. 6 million Jews and millions of others systematically were killed by the German Nazis and their collaborators during the Second World War. The International Day of Commemoration in memory of the victims of the Holocaust pays tribute to the victims annually. Prayer and a moment of silence was observed for the victims.
27th of January, we commemorate the International Day for the memory of the victims of the Holocaust. And it coincides with the 76th anniversary of the liberation of the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp, death camp. And we commemorate the victims, and we try to draw the lessons of the Holocaust in order that this will never happen again, and with the message that we will also never forget what happened.
Holocaust denial and distortion are gaining traction in Germany and elsewhere. They fan the flames of hate and allow anti-Semitism to inch towards the mainstream. Allowing distortion invites the erosion of our understanding of the Holocaust and its significance. It helps sustain an environment in which Holocaust denial, anti-Semitism, conspiracy myths, and dangerous forms of nationalism can thrive. As we reflect upon this history and its enduring effects, we uphold the terrible truth of the Holocaust against those who deny it. As individuals and as societies, we must carry on this important work, and we must defend the fundamental values of our societies that we hold dear: religious freedom, civil discourse, engagement, and tolerance. And what is absolutely essential is that society must not stay silent when these attacks on truth, our democracy, or our fellow citizens happen.
Ambassador Morav says indifference to minority call and hatred speech might cost dearly unless rectified immediately.
So, as I said, we learn from the past that you don't have to take words lightly. when Hitler already in 1923 talked about the extermination of the Jews and about his plans to dominate the rest of Europe, people thought, this is just a crazy person, we shall not take it seriously. And when acts of anti-Semitism, pogroms, for example, the Kristallnacht in 1936, when many synagogues were burned down, it was the killer sign. And again, the people were a bit indifferent, said, okay, that is something marginal, it's a minority, it's some... So the lesson is that no, we have to take act when we hear such words and not to be tolerant of call for hatred and bigotry, because it can turn very easily to genocide. So we, the international community, and we have a moral duty and a civil duty and a political duty to fight together against these calls, which are calls of minorities, but can slip into acts of a majority if the majority is indifferent.
The event featured a special live online testimony by the Holocaust survivor, who outlined the horrific ordeal he had to go through. The event also shed the spotlight on the importance of forgiveness and helping create a world of equality, justice, and dignity for all. In another story, Israeli ambassador to Ethiopia, Rafael Morav, says his 3-year term in Ethiopia was successful and interesting. Asked about his stay in Ethiopia, the outgoing ambassador said Ethiopia and Israel have enjoyed new heights over the past 3 years. Take a listen.
Personally, I had a lot of satisfaction of working in Ethiopia with the Ethiopian people. I learned a lot from the Ethiopian people about self-reliance, about dignity, about honor, friendship, and this I will definitely take with me wherever I go. And for me it was a very interesting period where the Israeli-Ethiopian relations went to really higher degrees. We had the visit of the President of the State of Israel in Ethiopia, first time in the history. We had the visit of Prime Minister Abiy in Israel in September 19, and the cooperation was strengthened in various fields, if it's agriculture, if it's innovation, in health. And in the last year, we're very much active in humanitarian assistance due to the COVID. We made a lot of operations for, first of all, for medical aid supply, and later on with food aid to the vulnerable communities in Ethiopia. Thank you very much, and I also wish Ethiopia and the Ethiopian people prosperity, health, and peace.
Policy Matters is a conversation platform which aims to provide reasoned analysis and context to the activities, reforms, and policies of the federal government of Ethiopia. Exploring various reforms the government is undertaking, the conversation platform aspires to enable nuanced and informed understanding.
Do we have what it takes to transition into a digital economy? What would you say are some of the initiatives the government has taken so that we're not left behind and that we are actually transitioning or transforming into a digital economy?
So for us as a country, moving to a digital economy and making ICT a priority sector, but also understanding the role that digital can have on our national priorities is a necessity, not only to have new sources of growth, but for survival.
You know, how are institutions being empowered, be it at the Walada level, regional level, or federal level, to transform themselves to be digitally enabled institutions?
Mindset is important. We need to build a culture of innovation. We need to build a culture of experimentation. It's all about being able to work together. It's about coordination. It's about collaboration. It's really important to be able to break those silences because we need to have data flowing.
The southern state reaffirms commitment to embarking on more environmental protection schemes. Deputy Chief of the State, Rustur Dal, said over 357,000 hectares of land will be rehabilitated with various water and soil conservation activities. Alula Teklamariam presents the story as follows.
Ethiopia intends to carry out soil and water conservation activity over 2.5 million hectares of land this year only. And the southern state of Ethiopia seems to be very committed to undertake massive environment protection endeavors. Within 1 month, the Deputy Chief of the southern state, Rustur Dal, said over 357,000 hectares of land will be developed with various water and soil conservation activities in the region.
We are striving to undertake massive environment protection activities at the regional level this year. Consequently, over 357,000 hectares of land will be refined with various water and soil conservation. Today, we begin the campaign in Hadiya zone and continue to other parts of the coming 30 days.
State Minister of Agriculture, Sani Reddy, disclosed the country has been offering relevant trainings to farmers across the country regarding merits of environment protection.
We have witnessed remarkable achievements in the agriculture sector in our previous experiences. Of course, we also face shortcomings that we should draw lesson out of it. Identifying sorts of soil types for research could be cited as part of our success story in the field.
Farmers, to their part, said similar initiative will help them boost their agricultural products.
We are increasingly becoming beneficiaries out of the project. Hence, it has to be strengthened to all farmlands that can help us boost our agricultural products.
Over 5 million people are expected to take part in this campaign across the regional state.
Now moving to continental and global news, the World Economic Forum in Davos is being held virtually. Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, said leaders should work in cooperation this year to overcome economic and other challenges that humanity is facing. Emmanuel Jorge presents the story as follows.
We've reached a human crisis unlike any that we've experienced in the last 75 years.
From significant investments in climate justice to new task forces on racial equity and corporate sustainability, the ramifications of COVID-19 pandemic have sparked new commitments from leaders to redress systematic inequalities and demonstrate their stakeholder responsibility to social justice. In his special address to the Forum, Secretary General of the United Nations Antonio Guterres said that the year 2020 was a year of fragility when mankind has faced several challenges which are existential threat for all. The Secretary General emphasizes tackling pandemic, climate change and biodiversity loss.
If there is one word that characterizes today's world, it is fragility. We see it in the impacts of the COVID-19 emergency. More than 2 million people have died, and we are in the worst economic crisis for nearly a century. We see it in the inequalities among people and countries that have been starkly highlighted by the pandemic. Women in particular have been badly affected by job losses and extra burdens of care. We also see fragility in the climate and biodiversity crisis. Both are existential threats, and both are getting worse.
He added that 2021 has brought better opportunities to avert the causes of the fragility from being worsened and even change them to resilience. Guterres emphasized the importance of multilateral discussions of all stakes to bring the desired result.
In 2021, we must address these fragilities and put the world on track. It is time to change course and take the sustainable path. And this year we have a unique opportunity to do so. We can use our recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic to move from fragilities to resilience. But all these threats, all these obstacles to progress demand dialogue and collaboration. Governments, international organizations, the private sector, the civil society, cities need to work together. And that is why I've been calling repeatedly for a reinvigorated, inclusive and networked multilateralism that goes beyond intergovernmental organizations.
The World Economic Forum engaged the foremost political, business, cultural and other leaders of society to shape global, regional and industry agendas. The forum will be concluded by January 29.